is keep it simple. Now, I know this seems really, really obvious, but I always say to my students, simple done accurately is better than complicated done inaccurately. In other words, it's better to keep things simple and do it well rather than overcomplicate everything and do it badly. So in English writing exams, you want to show off your English, but you want to show off your accurate English, not all this English that you don't know or haven't learnt yet. Now that leads me on to point number 2. In order to avoid making mistakes in your writing, it's a really, really good idea to have a collection of set phrases and keywords that you can use in that exam. So my tip number 2 is prepare key phrases. Now you do have to be careful with this. You don't want to rehearse what you're going to write, but you do want to have a nice selection of things that you could possibly say if the time arises. Now, especially on the IELTS exam, and I know a lot of you are studying for this, but this really goes for any academic writing exam, you want to have linking words and key phrases prepared. Now, I'm going to give you a list with 2 examples for each point. It doesn't cover everything that you need to know, but if you study everything in the list, you will be much, much more prepared for your English writing exam. So pay attention, and if there's any point that you think, I really could expand on that, go and do your research and prepare yourself. You want to make sure that you have a variety of different ways to compare in the same way, at the same time, contrast, on the contrary, however, give examples, for instance, to illustrate, give your opinion. From my perspective, from my point of view, generalize, overall, all things considered, to express certainty, undoubtedly, of course, to express partial agreement, in a way, to some extent, to show cause, owing to, due to show effect. For this reason, consequently, to mark time, to begin with, following this, to add information, furthermore, moreover, to express condition, unless, provided that, and to conclude, in summary, in short. So that's just a very brief list showing you exactly what you need to study to be fully prepared for any English writing exam. Now, point number 3, and definitely for academic writing, i.e. English tests or university pieces, do not use contractions. Or is that don't use contractions? So, cannot to can't, do not to don't, shall not to shan't, I am to I'm. These are all examples of contractions, and in your writing exams you want to avoid these. I know that you guys really want to keep your word count down because you are restricted and you want to show off as much as you possibly can. But I've got lots of tips for reducing your word count coming up, so make sure that you do not feel tempted to include contractions in your academic writing. So, tip number 4. Reduce your word count. Use as few words as possible. Completely contradictory because I've just told you that you should not use contractions, but I've got some really good mini tips within this big tip to help you keep your word count down and your English level up. The first one is avoid these dead weight words like very, so, a lot, really. I have mentioned this before in a video, but if you want to show off your English, avoid these. They're pointless. They are empty calories in English. Replace them instead with a strong word. So instead of saying really happy, I would say I am elated. Instead of saying so scared, I would say terrified. Okay? So by using strong words and avoiding these boring words, you can reduce your word count by a fair bit. Now, another way to really reduce your word count, but really improve the quality of your writing, is avoiding there is and there are. We want everything to be as clear as possible, and sometimes there is and there are can act as fillers. They add extra words to our sentences. So I'm going to give you an example so you can see this and bear it in mind next time you're doing an academic piece of writing. Sentence 1. There are many problems that we may encounter. There are many problems that we may encounter.